You know, in every chess game, a trade tells a story. And the question you have to ask is, are you writing a story where your opponent is the hero, or are you? Today, we're going to dig in and really master the art of the exchange, so every trade you make is a chapter in your victory. So let's just jump right in. This happens to everyone, right? Your opponent's got a cramped position, maybe a bishop that's doing absolutely nothing, and you trade your super active knight for it. And just like that, you've solved all their problems for them. You didn't just trade, you basically handed them a get out of jail free card. We are going to put a stop to that today. Yeah, we're going to shift our mindset. We're moving away from what I call hopeful swapping, where you just kind of trade pieces and cross your fingers, and we're moving into the world of intentional strategic trading. Every single exchange is going to be a calculated step that gets you closer to winning the game. Okay, so before we get into all the rules and scenarios, there's one single question. One mental shift that will totally revolutionize how you think about trades. It's what separates the pros from the amateurs, and honestly, it's way simpler than you might think. That's it. That's the one. Who does this trade actually help? This is the question that needs to be screaming in your head every single time you think about capturing a piece. It's the only test you need to figure out if you're helping yourself or if you're just doing your opponent a huge favor. See, you're not just swapping pieces of wood. A trade can be a gift. A simple capture can fix your opponent's terrible pawn structure, or it can open up a file for their rook to attack you, or bring a piece that was doing nothing right into the action. You could be giving them the exact development they were hoping for, and you're doing it for nothing. Okay, so we've got our golden question. Now let's build a playbook around it. This is going to be your practical guide for making the right call, when to trade, and just as importantly, when to hold back. First up, the green lights. These are the situations where you should be actively looking for trades. I mean, you should be hitting the gas pedal, seeking out every chance you can to exchange pieces and press your advantage. Let's make this super clear. Number one, let's say your light-squared bishop is completely stuck behind your own pawns on e6 and d5. It's a bad bishop. Meanwhile, your opponent has this monster knight on f6 that's a thorn in your side. Trading your useless bishop for that amazing knight, that is a huge positional victory. 2. Eliminate the key defender. That knight on f6 is the classic bodyguard for the king. If you can trade it off, suddenly their king is exposed and your queen and rook can come crashing in for the checkmate. 3. Simplify when you're winning. Look, if you're up even a single pawn, trading pieces is your best friend. Trade queens, trade rooks, simplify down to a basic king and pawn endgame, which is often super easy to win. And 4. Neutralize their attack. Your opponent is throwing the kitchen sink at you, right? A well-timed queen trade can feel passive, but it can completely put out the fire and give you the time you need to get your act together. All right, but what about the red flags? What about those moments where you should slam on the brakes and just refuse to trade? Honestly, this is where the real skill comes in. You have got to watch out for these traps. 1. Don't do their work for them. Your opponent has these ugly, doubled z-pawns. It's a huge weakness. You trade your active knight on d4, they recapture with the pawn, and boom, their pawn structure is fixed. You just solved their biggest problem. Don't do it. 2. You have the initiative. You're attacking. Trading pieces now is like calling your army back in the middle of a battle. You need that fuel, so keep your pieces on the board to keep up the pressure. 3. Always visualize the recapture. You take their knight on c6 with your bishop, they take back with the b-pawn, and what just happened? The b-file is now wide open for their rook. You have to ask yourself, was that really worth it? And finally, 4. You have a space advantage. You control the center, you're cramping them. If you trade pieces, you're just giving them more room to breathe. Keep the board crowded and let them suffocate. So here's a simple way to think about it. If you're the one feeling squeezed and cramped, then yes, trade to get some breathing room. But if you're the one doing the squeezing, keep your pieces on the board and don't let up. Okay, now we're going to kick it up a notch. We're going to move beyond just these rules and get into real positional understanding. This is how the masters think about the game. So, the points-based mindset, knight is 3, bishop is 3. That's like learning the alphabet. It's absolutely essential, but knowing the alphabet doesn't make you a great writer, right? Knowing a knight is worth 3 points is step 1. Understanding why your knight is better than their bishop in this exact position, that's the real poetry of chess. So from now on, I want you to try this. Mentally, just erase the pieces from the board. What's left? You've got a grid of 64 squares, and each one has a strategic value. A master's goal isn't just to take pieces, it's to conquer those squares.
The pieces are just the tools you use to do it.
See, every single trade is really a battle for territory. You're not just swapping pawns, you are fighting for control of the center. You're not just trading bishops, you're trying to seize command of the long diagonals. It's all about the squares.
So the next time you're about to make a trade, just pause for a second. Don't just ask what piece you're getting. Ask yourself, after this trade, who controls more key squares? And if you can answer that question with real confidence, then you're not just a player anymore. You're a positional mastermind. Now go conquer the board.